What up, Sauce Gang, and welcome back to the channel. Hot Sauce Beats here with another dope FNAF theory reaction. That is right, because today we are checking out FuhNaff's brand new video, I Solved FNAF Security Breach Ruin. Now, the other day we checked out MatPat's FNAF Security Breach Ruin theory video, and it seems like the majority of you absolutely hated it. Like maybe 90%. So I'm really stoked to see what FuhNaff's theory is on Ruin, how different it is from game theories, and to see kind of what you guys think about this one. So I'm beyond hyped to jump into this, but before we do, I want to show FuhNaff some love by subscribing to his channel. And if you enjoy my reaction, smash that subscribe button because it greatly helps. But enough talking, let's get to reacting and roll that bomb ass intro.
Hot Sauce Beats is finally here. Hot Sauce Beats is finally here. Eat, sleep, make beats. Eat, sleep, make beats.
Hot Sauce Beats. Woo, woo. Oh, it's time. Let's go.
2 weeks ago, I went live on my YouTube channel to play Ruin and see if I could find any new Easter eggs. And during my search for Easter eggs, Scott Cawthon himself joined my stream. And I got to give him a sneak peek of the theory I'm going to share with you today. This was his reaction. It is a very interesting theory. I know it is, Scott. Obviously, he can't confirm or deny anything, but it was really cool to see him in my stream. This theory is one of my most ambitious, and I'm super excited to share it with you.
Really?
All I ask is that you keep an open mind and remember this is just a theory.
Yes, chat. They're just theories. We don't know. None of this is proven. Scott, again, you just said Scott can't confirm nor deny. We don't know what's right and what's wrong. But hopefully we can get close to the truth.
One of the things I love to do when making FNAF theories is look for the little details that help solve the greater story. I feel like that's something I'm good at, so when I started playing Ruin, I got overwhelmed. Steelwool Studios gave us a game where there's illusions everywhere, an AR world and the real world, and there was just so much to look at that I didn't even know where to start. It's like double everything, I decided instead to take a step back and look at the story they're trying to tell us. On a very basic level, Ruin is about a little girl who breaks into an abandoned mall to try and find her friend that she swears is trapped in there. But it turns out that he wasn't trapped at all, and she was tricked. When I thought about the game like that, I started to notice something. This isn't the first time we've heard this story. The Silver Eyes trilogy were the first ever FNAF books to be released, and on a very basic level, the first book is about a group of friends who go and explore a mall that was built on top of an old Freddy's Pizzeria.
Now, I know we're very just starting off this video, but I mean, isn't this the part that you guys hated about MatPat's comparing this to the, but I mean, it's like basically the same story.
While they explore the old pizzeria, they have a run-in with William Afton, aka Springtrap. That sounds just like what happens in Security Breach. We explore a mall that was built on top of an old Freddy's Pizzeria, and while exploring the pizzeria, we have a run-in with Springtrap. So if Security Breach is the first book, what's the second book about? In the second book, The Twisted Ones, a tornado hit the town and the mall is now destroyed. We learned that the mall was set to be demolished, but because of the tornado, the demolition was put on pause. As I kept rereading this book, the connections to what we saw in Ruin kept piling up. The mall in the books was destroyed by a tornado. The mall in the games was destroyed by an earthquake. The mall in the books was set to be demolished, but was put on hold. In Ruin, we see a giant wrecking ball that started to demolish the building, but now just sits there. In Ruin, Cassie's friend Gregory is calling out for help.
You have to find me. I'm trapped in the sinkhole under the raceway.
Following his call leads Cassie to a giant cave with glowing mushrooms, a big waterfall, and a facility full of carnival-themed mascot costumes. All of this stuff that probably felt very new and confusing also happened in this book. Charlie swears that her missing brother Sammy is calling out to her.
So chat, so again, a lot of you in the comments said you didn't like this part of MatPat's theory, and I feel like because I don't have set theories on this game, I can kind of take a step back and take a wider look at stuff and not have a biased opinion. I mean, this just, from the outside looking in, I mean, this just seems like it's almost concrete proven. I mean, it's a one-for-one thing. Like, you know, a lot of theories we talk about being parallel, and it's kind of stretching between, like, the book and the game. But this is a spitting image. 100% a spitting image.
Following this call leads her to a giant cave with glowing mushrooms, a waterfall, and a facility with a bunch of carnival-themed mascot costumes. Charlie swears that her missing brother is behind a door covered in concrete. Cassie swears that Gregory is behind a door covered in concrete. And both in this book and the game, it ends up being a trap. But right before Cassie and Charlie get attacked, an animatronic comes in and saves them. In Ruin, Roxy came in and tackled the animatronic. In the book, Foxy came in and tackled the animatronic, along with the other OG animatronics. Even the fate of both Charlie and Cassie is left a mystery at the end. The Twisted Ones literally ends with it looking like Charlie died, but then they hint that she might have survived, just like Ruin. The elevator falls, and then after the credits, we hear this.
Cassie.
Scott isn't just taking ideas from these books, he's taking the stories themselves and using them as heavy inspiration for the games. If we looked at these books to try and predict what would happen in Ruin, we would have been almost 100% correct. So if the first book is Security Breach and the second book is Ruin, what's the third book about? Well, those carnival-themed mascot costumes weren't first introduced in the Tales books, they were introduced in the Twisted Ones to foreshadow what was to come in the fourth closet. When we visit Circus Baby's Pizza World, a carnival-themed restaurant. We also visit the book's version of the sister location bunker and meet all of the Funtime animatronics. And if this pattern continues, that would mean Help Wanted 2 would be the fourth closet. And where are we going in Help Wanted 2?
Charlie bots. So many Charlie bots. I know that's what the fourth closet's about.
2. The sister location bunker to meet the Funtime animatronics. If Ruin taught me anything, it's to look to these books to figure out what's gonna happen next. So I would bet money that we're also gonna see Circus Baby's Pizza World and Help Wanted 2. Need more proof? While searching through the game files of Ruin, Maz on Twitter found this note that Steelwool left in an old version of the Mimic Chase area. Quote, something cool that maybe foreshadows Carnival, pending J-Top's thoughts. We definitely don't visit a carnival at the end of Ruin, so we be visiting this carnival in Help Wanted 2. In the epilogues of the Tales books, the main characters were hanging out at a carnival before heading to the Pizzaplex. One of the levels in Security Breach Fury's Rage, the last game Scott made before Security Breach released, features posters advertising a circus with a carnival happening in the background. We also have the leaked balloon circus characters that have yet to be explained. The connections go on and on, so I'm convinced that Circus Baby's Pizza World is where we're going next. But the question is why? Well, in the fourth closet, this was all leading up to Circus Baby being revealed as the big bad. In the Silver Eyes trilogy, Henry created hyper-realistic robot versions of Charlie after her death, one for each stage of her life. He kept each Charlie bot in different closets in his house. But when he got to the fourth Charlie bot, he started having regrets about what he was doing, and in a fit of grief and rage, poured his agony into the robot. After Henry left the robot behind, Afton came in and stole it, turning it into what we now know as Baby. Baby was the fourth Charlie bot, hence the title of the book, The Fourth Closet. If this sounds familiar, I've actually talked about this before.
You have. You have, Fnaf. We know you love the Charlie bot theory.
Last year, I pointed out the Nightmarion plushies and imagery throughout Security Breach. Charlie possesses the puppet, so Nightmarion would be the metaphorical evil/dark version of Charlie. While playing through Ruin, I noticed that the Nightmarion plushies were back. Stop, Steelwool. They put this in the game to just taunt me. But it wasn't until I started exploring off-stream that I noticed they aren't just back, they're once again hidden throughout the game, but most notably in one specific place. During the part of the game where the Mimic is chasing you, you enter this hallway leading up to an elevator, and tucked behind some boxes in the corner is a Nightmarion plushie. I don't know if this is Steelwool just messing with me, but putting one of those plushies in the most lore-heavy part of the game feels intentional. You know what else feels intentional? Throughout the game, you can collect different plushies. Every plushie features a character we see at the Pizzaplex, except two, a Baby plushie and a Nightmarion plushie. Baby and the evil version of Charlie. In the fourth closet, Baby, an evil version of Charlie, was revealed as the big bad. There's also so many weird connections to Baby in this game. There's this room full of half Scrap Baby plushies with green eyes and half Baby plushies with blue eyes. Baby is synonymous with ice cream, and the Fredbear cutout we see in one of the endings features him holding an ice cream in both his hands. Also in that ending, we see everyone sitting on a hill enjoying an ice cream. Ruin itself also plays just like Sister Location. In Sister Location, you never know if you should trust Baby. In Ruin, you never know if you should trust Gregory. Both games end with them telling us to go left or right.
Go forward and left. Keep going.
Go right. Keep going.
Both games feature an ending with a scooper. The multiple connections to Carnival,
Scooper!
Baby, and Nightmarion seem to tell us that some version of what happened in the fourth closet is going to happen in the games. And in the fourth closet, Baby reveals that she was the one pretending to be Charlie's brother calling out for help. Baby also reveals that she wants to steal Charlie's identity so she can look more human. This is just like the ending of the Fazbear Frights books. Eleanor, who I think is the book's parallel to Baby, was revealed as the big bad, and her main thing is stealing people's identities by ripping off their limbs. This plot
Stop ripping off limbs. That's not nice.
point of a robot wanting
Stop
to
it!
steal a human's identity is something we see over and over again in the
lot.
Frights and Tales books. Story after story, Scott has been hammering this idea of a robot wanting to look more human into our heads. So both in the Silver Eyes trilogy and the Fazbear Frights books, we have a version of Baby being revealed as the big bad, with their main thing being they want to steal someone's identity. But at the end of Ruin, the big bad is revealed to be... By now, I'm sure you've heard of the Mimic, an endoskeleton first introduced in the Tales books that was built to mimic whatever it sees. Here's a quick summary of the Mimic's story from the Tales books. A guy named Edwin, who works as an engineer for Fazbear Entertainment, built this endoskeleton for his son to keep him occupied while he works. This
we've heard this,
endoskeleton
but
was
I'm not gonna
programmed
skip.
to mimic anything
won't do
it
it.
sees, so it started mimicking Edwin's son. After Edwin's son died tragically, the endoskeleton was still mimicking Edwin's son. So in a fit of grief and rage, Edwin beat up the endoskeleton, pouring his agony into it. But the mimic started
the
mimicking
mimic
what
is bad.
Edwin did to it, brutally killing anyone it came into contact with. The main way it would do this is by putting on random mascot costumes and then ripping off people's limbs. This endoskeleton was still mimicking Edwin's kid, but it was also
I want
murdering
ice
people at
cream.
the same time.
Give me
so
your
it was
arms.
basically an evil robot version of Edwin's kid. If you've watched any of my recent theories, you know that I believe this story is a parallel to Henry's story from the Silver Eyes trilogy. And after figuring out that Scott is using the Silver Eyes trilogy as heavy inspiration for the games, that belief has only been strengthened. In the Silver Eyes, Henry built a robot that mimics his daughter Charlie. Henry then poured his agony into the robot and left it behind, only for William to steal it and turn it into what we now know as Baby. Baby was now an evil robot version of Henry's kid, just like the Mimic. And I think a very similar version of this story happened in the games as well. I think Henry built this endoskeleton to mimic his daughter Charlie, but after Charlie's death, Henry left it behind, only for Afton to steal it and use it to help build what we now know as Baby. The main goal of Eleanor and Baby in the Silver Eyes trilogy was to look more human by stealing someone's identity. And I think this endoskeleton that was built to mimic Charlie...
So chat, I just want to let me know in the comments. So we're roughly halfway through. Do you guys not like any part of this first half? Because I just, again, I don't see what doesn't match up here. Like it seems like it's almost 1 for 1. You know what I mean? Because I agree. I think there are some things that we say that are parallel that don't really make sense and seem like are a very far stretch. This seems like it's a touchdown. It doesn't seem like it's a Hail Mary. It seems like it's a catch for a touchdown. It all makes sense.
also wants the same thing. It was built to mimic Charlie, but it doesn't look human. Just like the robots wanting to be human stories Scott's been telling us for years now, it wants to be human. It wants to steal Cassie's identity. Need more proof? Throughout Ruin, you can find these comics that Cassie reveals were drawn by Gregory. These comics tell us that most of the endings that happened in Security Breach were not real and were just made up in Gregory's head, including the Burn Trap ending. During the Burn Trap ending of Security Breach, we see that Vanny was camping out down there helping to bring Afton back to life. We see that Afton was being kept in a charging pod with a circular window on the front of it. In Security Breach Fury's Rage, Vanny's boss battle takes place in a factory full of animatronic limbs and torsos, almost like Vanny is trying to rebuild something, and that thing that she's trying to rebuild is also being kept in a similar pod to Burn Trap. But it's not Burn Trap, it's Eleanor, a version of Baby that's known for ripping off people's limbs and stealing their identity.
Love ripping off those
the Mimic
limbs.
rips off people's limbs, costumes and I think wants to steal Cassie's identity. But how could this Endo be Baby if she was scooped in Sister Location and burned in FNAF 6? Well, in the Tales books, it's revealed that the Mimic loves putting on costumes, just like you see in Ruin. But there's one specific costume that's been mentioned multiple times now, a Jester costume, which is what Baby is. She's dressed up just like a Jester. But the most recent time this Jester costume was brought up, it was revealed that it isn't just a normal costume, it's a Springlock suit. A Jester Springlock costume that this Mimic endoskeleton has put on and walked around in. Charlie describes Springlock suits in the Silver Eyes by saying, quote, "I think they were costumes. Sometimes people wore them, and sometimes my father put them onto the robots. Springlock suits can be put onto endoskeletons. And if this book is really hinting that Baby is a Springlock suit, that would line up with what we see at the end of Ruin. This is Baby's endoskeleton, just without all the wires and the shell that comes with the Springlock suit. The Baby Springlock suit would essentially be put onto this endoskeleton with the same eyes, teeth, and head shape as Baby. I think people forget that in Night 4 of Sister Location, Baby puts us inside a Springlock suit that has faceplates, just like the Fun Times. So the idea that Baby could be a Springlock suit isn't too far-fetched. But even then, Baby got burned in FNAF 6. How could her endoskeleton still be around? Well, throughout Sister Location, Baby is the main character, but we never actually see her until Night 5, when she's about to get scooped. She's obviously not been scooped yet because she still has all of her wires and is in perfect condition. If she was already scooped, those wires would be gone, and her shell would be dismantled like we see with the other animatronics in the scooping room. But look at the way she's posed in this scene. She almost looks like the Golden Freddy suit. There's nothing to hold her up. She's also missing her eyes and teeth. She's missing her endoskeleton. She's posed like that because she's in suit mode. But if this endoskeleton wasn't in Baby during Sister Location, where was it? Well, one notable trait about the Mimic is that it messes with technology. Essentially, wherever it goes, it can turn off lights and intercept radio signals, like it does to lure Cassie in Ruin. In Sister Location, it's our job to check on the animatronics and see if they're on stage. With Ballora and Foxy, even if they're not behind the glass, we can still see their stages. But when we get to Baby's room and we turn on the lights, we see nothing. Also, as the nights go on, Baby's room is the only room where the controlled shocks just straight up stop working.
Oh, Circus Baby, we aren't here to play hide and seek. Let's encourage Baby to come out of hiding with a controlled shock.
I think it's possible that the Mimic
with a controlled shock, let's shock the robot that's trying to rip off your limbs. Terrible idea.
Now being held in this room,
shock.
The Circus Gallery. Need more proof? It's a pretty popular theory at this point that the pizzeria Henry uses in FNAF 6 was also Fredbear's family diner. People say this because the secret images of the alleyway in FNAF 6 look similar to the alley where Charlie was killed. Also, the gameplay of FNAF 6 is literally about upgrading an old pizzeria and turning it into what we see in Security Breach. Now in Ruin, we see a cutout of Fredbear directly under the FNAF 6 pizzeria, which only strengthens the theory that they're the same building. Henry just reused and upgraded the building he already owns. Why is this important, you ask? Because on the map in Sister Location, we can see Fredbear's family diner connected right to Baby's room.
Yes, which we've known this.
Gallery, the same room that I believe the Mimic was being held in. This explains why we find the Mimic trapped in this specific area. It was being held in this part of the Sister Location bunker, forced to wander between Fredbear's and Baby's room. I think this room specifically was trying to remind us that Scrap Baby and the original Baby are two separate things. Scrap Baby was Elizabeth with green eyes. The tangle of wires and the shell that belonged to the Springlock costume itself that eventually got scooped and turned into Scrap Baby. But the robot that was inside Baby, the Mimic Endo, is its own thing, separate from Elizabeth, represented by the blue eyes. I think it's important to say that this Endo has obviously swapped out a lot of its parts over time, and can also shapeshift to literally fit itself into any costume in the books. So if some physical features and the scale of the Mimic don't 100% match, the Endo can literally shapeshift. I don't know what to tell you. So who made these mascot costumes? Well, like I said before, these mascot costumes were first introduced in the Twisted Ones to foreshadow Circus Baby's Pizza World. We even get a description that sounds just like one of the costumes we see in Ruin. One of the costumes was, quote, a massive contorted bird-like creature with a wide curved beak. These costumes were meant to foreshadow Circus Babies, and Circus Babies was definitely a William Afton thing, so they could be made by William. I mean, the Mushroom Cave was revealed to be William's
Seems like, like they're maybe William Afton's first costumes he ever made. Maybe?
In the
Maybe?
Twisted Ones, so that would make sense.
I know that's what
But
Matt Pat
in the
thinks.
fourth closet, Charlie finds a book in Henry's workshop. This book was about the history of the traveling carnival and of the circus. So we know that Henry also had a fascination with the circus as well. It was also revealed that the cave and facility where the costumes were found was built under Henry's house. So it's also possible that these costumes were some of Henry's first creations. I guess we'll have to wait and see. I think Help Wanted 2 is going to pick up right where we left off in Ruin. I mean, the ending of Ruin has an elevator falling to the ground. The trailer for Help Wanted 2 has the sister location elevator falling to the ground.
Wow,
I think we already
didn't
saw
think
in
about
Ruin
that.
The digital world and the real world are merging, and Cassie is struggling to know what's real and what's not. I think this is going to be the theme of Help Wanted 2, along with visiting the sister location bunker and Circus Baby's Pizza World. I know a lot of you probably think I'm insane, and there's going to be a lot of angry tweets, but I'm not taking any chances anymore. We live in a world where Scott and Steelwool took almost every single ending in Security Breach, even the fully animated one, and said none of that was real. So anything is possible. And I'm trusting these books to tell me what's going to happen next. And I guess we'll just have to see later this year if I'm onto something or if I'm dead wrong. There's still a ton of things to talk about in this game, like who is Cassie's dad and what's the deal with the scooper. So look forward to more theories in the future. Please remember that this was just a theory. Do your own research, come to your own conclusions. Don't take everything I say as canon, and I hope you enjoyed. See you at the circus.
Yeah, baby. Oh, come on, chat. So let me bring you in. Let me bring you in. So, again, riddle me this, because I think for the most part, this sounds pretty close to the, Matt Pat and FuhNaff have about the same theory. So what do you guys not like about this? Because I think this sounds... I know sometimes maybe the books are used too much in regards to what we think is canon and not, but again, it really does seem like these books are a roadmap. And I personally love the thought process of using the fourth closet book to predict what the next game's gonna be. And again, obviously we don't know until the game comes out, but it just seems like it makes sense because the first two books did it too. So let me know what you guys think. Again, I personally love this, so I'm very curious to see some of your guys' feedback. But make sure you show FuhNaff some love by subscribing to his channel and liking the original video. And if you enjoyed my reaction, please help support the channel by smashing that subscribe and like button. It's absolutely free and it greatly helps out the channel. Enjoy the rest of your day. And remember, Izzy sleeping McBeats and as usual be kind of another. That's all I got. Boom, I'm out. Got him with love for the Sauce Gang. Peace out, chat.